I'd like to call the meeting to order. First item on the agenda is elections, and I want to pass this over to the corporate officer. Christy?
Thanks, CAO. I'm just checking to make sure we've got everybody here who's going to be here. Okay, so I'll just quickly run through the process of what this will look like. It's the same as in past years, but just for clarity, we'll go through it real quickly. So I'll declare nominations open for the position of chair for the regional district. Each nomination will require a mover and a seconder, and the member nominated will be asked if they're willing to let their name stand for the position. Then I'll call for additional nominations until after 3 calls. There are no further nominations from the floor. Once the nominations close, the nominees will be allowed up to 3 minutes for chair to present the platform to the board in the order of nomination. Each member shall have 1 vote, with each vote to have an equal weight. A simple majority of the board is required to elect a chair. Should there be more than 2 nominees for the position, and if on the first ballot a chair is not elected by a majority of the board, the nominee with the lowest number of votes shall be dropped and a second ballot will be initiated. This process will continue until a member is elected. In the event of a tie vote, the election shall be determined by a toss of the coin. Not Spencer coin. Following the vote, the CAO will announce the name of the chair-elect, resulting from the secret ballot. Unsuccessful candidates for chair are eligible to run for vice chair if they're nominated. And following the election of the chair, I will conduct the election of the vice chair with the same rules applied, except that there's 2 minutes for the nominees to make their speeches. Following the election of the vice chair, the CAO will turn the meeting over to the chair to proceed with the remainder of the agenda. This year, we're using a different voting system. It's online. Hopefully everybody has taken the time to get that all ready to go. If not, there are staff here to help you out with that. So you will open the cloudvote.com link and click join and enter the event code and your name. So the event codes are on the desks all around there for each chair and vice chair, and same for the hospital district. They're different codes. So please use the code that corresponds with the vote that we're doing. Each candidate's name after they are nominated will appear on your screen. Select the letter that corresponds to your desired candidate, and you can change your vote if you accidentally choose the incorrect letter. Once everyone has had a chance to vote, we'll ask Harry to display the results on the screen. And so now I'll open nominations for the chair of the board. Do we have any nominations?
I'd like to nominate Director Watt.
Do we have a seconder for that? All right, and Director Watt, do you accept the nomination? I do. All right. Do we have any more nominations for chair of the Regional District Board? Director Bush.
I would nominate Mark Pendergraft.
And do we have a seconder for that? Thank you. And Director Pendergraft, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Do we have any more nominations for chair of the Regional District Board? Anything online? I'll call a second time. Any more nominations for the chair of the board? And I'll call a final time. Any more nominations for the chair of the board? Okay, seeing no further nominations, we will start with the 2 candidates. First of all, Director Watt, you have 3 minutes to make your speech.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity. Obviously, I would love your support running for chair. My vision would be a balanced unification of our communities and autonomy of our directors. As the chair, it would be my highest priority to build trust and respect between directors and staff. I personally hold myself to a high standard of neutrality and of process. I have always said in this room, we are a truly regional board, but obviously very aware each individual area has its own unique challenges and needs to be addressed as such. I would strive to ensure our meetings and working relationships create a safe and supportive space to deliberate and collaborate, collaboration being a key for us. This foundation will allow directors to best represent their communities and emphasize the importance of supporting our interconnected goals and objectives. I want us and the administration to be their best selves so that our residents can look to us truly with confidence. I'm certainly not suggesting that there's been a shortfall in representation we have had or have now. I just feel it's an appropriate time for change, and I hope that with that change, I can bring a new leadership formula. I understand the biggest critique against me personally would be what seems to be a lack of engagement, and instead of running from that, I would like to take this head on and take the steps to ensure all of our directors are present, engaged, and supported as a unified board moving forward. It might also be worth noting that in my past 10 years at the city, certainly under our current situation and timing, I have gone through the hiring of 4 CAOs and very well of that process as well. Thank you again for your time and for your consideration.
Thank you, Director Watt. Director Pendergraft, 3 minutes, please.
Okay, thank you. Most people have had the opportunity to get used to the way I chaired meetings and run the regional district as best I could. I would ask for your support to continue on with that. I agree with most of what Director Watt said, with the exception of we are in the middle of change right now, and I'm not sure that we need to change the entire thing. I think the changes that we're making at the staff levels are a little bit concerning, maybe to staff, so some consistency at our end might be a good thing. So with that in mind, I would keep it under my 3 minutes, which is one of the things I've always tried to do, is keep things short and sweet. So I would just ask that you continue to support me as chair for the regional district.
Thank you very much, Director Pendergraft. So again, if you would like to head onto your device to the cloudvote.com link, and you should see the names appearing fairly soon.
Join now?
Okay, so you're good. Jillian, Mark, do you guys want to help Director Johansson?
So it's sort of at a holding spot. It says voting for board chair. Okay, the options are up now.
Yeah, just click join session. So that's good. So he's in the, so this is what yours will look like once you're verified. Since you didn't put your full name. Yeah, because we put it, he had pre-uploaded everyone's full name. Yeah. He's gonna accept.
Do we have enough
So just
time?
hang tight. I'll just have
I think we're going to shut off.
Oh, no.
Okay, good.
George.
Yeah.
It like stays at whatever you voted.
Can you try again and put your full name in? Because that's what we did. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Just give it a second. The letters are just at the bottom, so that's what you'll touch, the letters at the bottom there. Yeah.
So if there's a change in the chair,
Oh, I see.
what are the other positions for today?
And we can do that now?
Yep.
There's a recorder.
Nudge.
Is there a report with this?
Which one is that?
Because I just tried to open it and it says we can't open it.
Yeah, there
Did
should
your
be a
screen
report.
change when you voted?
I don't know.
No.
Super.
I
That's
hit
gonna be
the
lovely.
letter and it stayed there.
Yeah.
Did yours change?
No. Okay.
I think it's hit the letter at the bottom. I think. That's what I did. And it doesn't change anything, it just lights up blue.
Hi, just to anybody, are results coming through? Because when we click on it, it looks like it's just a static site. So are they coming through? We just don't get a message?
No.
Oh, I'm stuck.
Okay.
I have no idea what I'm supposed to do now.
It doesn't say.
I agree with that one.
And then it just stays.
So you know your vote.
You just choose the one that you want?
Says what?
It was just this little like pop-up.
Oh,
Everybody may have voted. Yeah, it's fine.
I'm surprised that Spencer didn't.
Well, it's just unprofessional. We're all sitting here talking like it's.
Yep.
This is strikingly familiar to the American election.
Yeah, that's what. You have to type in the whole thing, yeah. And then yours. So now you're good. So now you're gonna A or B.
And then how do you know if it goes through?
He goes down there, yeah, so, and then the results will come.
It's not very secretive.
I know, a giant screen, it's like, here you go.
5 seconds till the vote closes. Thank you very much. So the vote indicates that Mark Pendergraft is the chair for the 2024-2025 year. Congratulations. Now we'll start the process over again for the vice chair. Hopefully the voting goes smoother now that we've done it once.
Where do we go to now?
So that'll be your second event code that you'll want to enter when we get to the end and are prepared to vote. So I'll open the floor for nominations for vice chair of the regional district. Are there any nominations?
Well,
Director Federico?
I'd like to nominate Spencer Coyne.
who?
And do we have a seconder?
I need my hearing aids.
Is there a seconder for that? Thank you. And Director Coyne, are you willing to accept that nomination? Thank you.
I am.
Do we have any other nominations? Director Bush?
I always like an election, so I will nominate Campbell Watt.
And do we have a seconder for that? Thank you. Director Watt, do you accept the nomination?
I will.
Thank you very much. Director Graham?
I'd like to nominate Director Taylor.
And do we have a seconder for that nomination? Thank you. Director Taylor, do you accept that nomination? I do. Thank you. All right, and I'll call again. Are there any other nominations for vice chair? Call a second time. Any further nominations for vice chair? And a final time. Any further nominations for vice chair? Okay, thank you very much. So we have 3 nominees. We have Spencer Coyne and Campbell Watt and Director Taylor. So each candidate, starting in the order of nomination, has 2 minutes to address the board. So we'll start with Spencer Coyne, Director Coyne.
Thank you. I would be honored to be your vice chair for another year. I've worked hard trying to represent this board over the last few years. When the chair has not been able to be around, I've been able to pick up and do what's needed to be done, from the biggest, I guess, issue we've had to deal with over the last few years, right up to the emergency management program, where we took lead and brought changes to that. I try to represent the regional district at every level of external organizational structure that I'm at, whether it's SILGA, UBCM, or just even my municipality when we go to UBCM or anywhere. It's kind of a funny position because you sit in the wings waiting for somebody to ask you to fill in, and other than that, you don't really have a role to play unless asked to do so. So I do try to do the best I can with what I've been able to do, and I would be honored to be able to fill in for another term. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Coyne. Director Watt, 3 minutes, please, or 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. Thank you again. I'm probably not going to need 2 minutes. Ultimately, I've said exactly what my feelings are. I would really love to represent the board best to my abilities. I certainly believe, and hopefully you would agree, Chair Pendergraft and myself would share very, very complementary skill sets, and I think a great working team, but I'd love the opportunity to try. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Watt. And Director Taylor, 2 minutes, please.
Yeah, I'd like to offer my services as vice chair. To be candid, I am interested in going on another step up at a later date, but I feel I've got things to learn, and I'd like to demonstrate value as a vice chair first. I feel I have the time, and I know some others have not stood up and are just as qualified as I am and have chosen not to for that reason. I've put in the time as an electoral area director, and I commit to doing so as a vice chair. My approach, I believe I've worked effectively with people, whether that's other directors who are municipal directors or electoral area directors. And with any luck, I'll have a foot in both camps in a year or two, with incorporation coming on. I've spoken, and in many cases I've met with many of you, and also with staff, and you've all been extremely helpful to Area D's needs, and I've also worked with many of our community members to advance their causes. My view of the RDOS, I think we're something of a staff-led organization, and that's not a bad thing. We've got really good staff. But I think the board could do more, and in my view, it should do more. In the shorter term, we have to clearly and effectively communicate priorities for staff, and in the longer term, with a strategic plan that reflects more than our operational needs. I feel that the central Okanagan is becoming an expensive and bloated bottleneck. The North Okanagan is too far away from major centers, and I do feel that the South Okanagan and Similkameen has a real opportunity to reposition itself as a destination of choice. And I think that our strategy should reflect that to some degree. I don't claim to have all the answers or the holy grail on where we need to go or what we need to do. I think I do my best thinking after listening to others, and I intend to do a whole lot of that over the next couple of years. I'd respectfully offer to represent you as vice chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Taylor. So 3 candidates. If you want to open your cloud vote now and punch in the second event number, please. That's the second one. That will take you to the vice chair nominations, and we'll give it a few minutes.
Yeah, you're perfect. You're perfect. Yeah.
I know it's right here, but do you want
Go back out.
You would have to have a letter of acceptance. I think it's doing it already. I didn't.
That's why I pay for it.
Oh, okay.
Mark?
Do you want to, can we do it on this computer or no? Do you want to just do it on this one? Let's just do it.
I know. I like that better.
Okay, you're gonna enter 217396 hyphen VC. Oh, board VC. See, even I'm. So, okay. The vote closed. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
This doesn't look like a majority, does it? Well, that would be nice if we had a number. Yeah.
The two.
44, 38, and 19. So the results are in. We have no majority, so we will have to take the third candidate, that is Director Taylor, out of this, and everybody will be required to revote for either Director Spencer Coyne or Director Campbell Watt. So that, I assume, will come up fairly soon on the screen. Same event number.
Yes, Director Holmes.
Yes, that is the answer. So the results are in, and candidate B, that is Director Campbell Watt, has obtained a majority. Congratulations. You can hand it over to the chair.
Thank you and congratulations. I'd like to hand out the meeting to the chair now.
Thank you, CAO and Ms. Mulden, for conducting that. I don't think there's a need right now to swap seats, so we'll just conduct the meeting as it goes. We do have before us a proposed agenda, and in that agenda we have the consent agenda. So if there's anything in the consent agenda that potentially needs to be removed to the hospital, will be right after the regular board meeting completes. So it's second call for anything to come off the consent agenda and into the regular portion of the meeting. Seeing nothing there, looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Moved, seconded, thank you. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? The motion carries. So to consent agenda, corporate issues, a motion for that. Mover, thank you. A seconder, thanks. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? Motion carries. That brings us down to development services, rural land use matters. D1, Electoral Area Advisory Planning Commission meeting schedule, CAO.
Thank you, Director. The purpose of this report is to provide the board with an overview of the meeting schedules for the various electoral area advisory planning commissions for 2025. And the administrative recommendation is that the board of directors accept the 2025 APC meeting schedules for the electoral area advisory planning commissions.
Okay, is there someone prepared to move that? Director Knodel? No, you want to speak to it? I'll just see if there's a mover first. Mover, seconder? Great, it's on the floor. Director Knodel, you want to speak to it?
Yes, I'd like to move area Cs to Tuesdays if possible.
I didn't quite catch that. If you could repeat that?
I'd like to move the meeting date for area C to Tuesday as opposed to Wednesday.
Okay, I'm going to look to staff if that's doable. Just so there can be. Go ahead, Mr. Garish. You're neutral on that? Oh,
try the other one.
Oh. It'll work.
Yeah, sorry. So just quickly off the top of my head, there shouldn't be an issue as I recall. Area C is already one of our night meetings anyway. So simply moving it from one day of the week to another shouldn't cause any major issues.
Issue? Okay. Okay, will that need to be an amendment or is that Ms. Mullen?
So we can capture that in the recommendation. You could do it as an amendment to adjust that one. And if there's any others, they would be added to that as well.
Okay. I'll see if there's any other discussion or changes needed. Not seeing any hands. So I'll just add it as an amendment and we'll vote on it with that change, just so everybody's aware. And I do believe this happens to be a rural vote, so I will call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to D2, Development Variance Permit in Area A, CAO.
Thank you. As you stated, this is for Area A. This application is seeking a variance to the interior side parcel line setback that applies to the subject property in order to undertake an additional to an existing single-family dwelling. And the recommended motion is that the development variance permit to A 2024.025 to allow for the construction of an addition to the existing single detached dwelling be approved.
Okay, could I ask someone to move that for me? Thanks, Director Bush. Seconder. Great, it's on the floor. Any discussion? Again, seeing no hands, this is another rural vote. I'll call the question. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. D3, a temporary use permit in Area E, CAO.
Thank you. This application is seeking to renew an existing permit for a vacation rental use on the property through the issuance of a TUP. Recommended motion is that the temporary use permit 2024.031 TUP to allow a vacation rental use at 3260 McKay Road be approved. Staff's here to answer your questions.
Okay, Director Federico.
I'll move the staff administrative recommendation, please.
Moved and seconded. It's on the floor. Any discussion on this one? Again, seeing no hands and another rural vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. D4, a DVP in Area I, CAO.
Thank you. This application is seeking a variance to the interior side parcel line setback that applies to the subject property in order to undertake the development of a single detached dwelling with a secondary suite. And the recommended motion is that development variance permit number 2024.013 to allow the construction of a single detached dwelling with a secondary suite at 195 Snow Mountain Place be approved.
And I'll go to Director Monteith.
Thank you. I'd like to make the administrative recommendation.
Okay, moved. Is there a seconder? Thank you. It's on the floor. Any discussion? Again, seeing no hands, call the question on a rural vote. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. D5, another DVP in I, CAO.
Thank you. This application is seeking a variance to the front parcel line setback that applies to the subject property in order to undertake the construction of a garage. And the recommended motion is that the development variance permit 2024.023 to allow the construction of an accessory building at 453 Eastview Drive be approved.
Again, over to Director Monteith.
Sorry, I'm struggling with my technology here. Is this the one that's in Twin Lakes?
Yes.
I understood the recommendation though was to deny it. Is that not the case? I saw on social media there was a letter that was shared from staff that was to deny it.
Recommendation is to approve at the moment.
Can I table it?
It's your call.
Yeah, I guess I'm concerned because I'm pretty sure I saw something different. So I was expecting the opposite, but I want more information before I go there.
Okay, so you're making a motion to table it
Just
to the next
postpone it to
meeting?
the next meeting, please. Thank you.
Okay, is there a seconder for that? All right, it's on the, motion is made. I'll call the question on postponement. All in favor? Everybody would vote on that one. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Development Procedures Bylaw Notification Radius Amendment, CAO.
The purpose of this amendment is to the development procedure bylaw to update the notification requirements of the official community plan and zoning bylaw amendment, development variance permit, and temporary use permit applications. And the administrative recommendation is that the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen develop a procedure amendment bylaw number 2500.35/2024 be adopted.
Is there someone prepared to move this one? Mover, thank you. Is there a seconder? It's on the floor. Any discussion on this? This one has been before us several times, so I think there's probably no need, but not seeing any hands, I'll call the question on a final rural vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to Protective Services. RDOS land use application for emergency infrastructure on Naquala Mountain, CAO.
Thank you, Chair. So this is in regards to the Regional District 5-year financial plan amendment bylaw, which is required for this recommendation. And the recommended motion for this is that the bylaw 3053.03/2024 being a bylaw to amend the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen 2024-2028 5-year financial plan be reallocated capital funds between projects for the Naramata Park and Recreation to be given first, second, and third reading. Is that the right one?
No,
That doesn't seem
something's
right.
not
No,
seeming
that's
right
not
there.
right. I'm having technical difficulties myself here. I was wondering why we're
E1,
one up.
E1,
Yeah.
Nicola Mountain.
Oh, I finally got it. Technical difficulties wasn't that, it was my difficulties. Okay. Purpose, to seek board support for RDOS to submit a land use application to the Penticton Indian Band to secure continued access to Nicola Mountain for critical emergency communications infrastructure. And the recommended motion is that the board support the RDOS application submission to the Penticton Indian Band for continued use of Nicola Mountain lot for E911 fire dispatch, and staff's here to answer your questions.
Okay, there's a mover, seconded, thank you. Discussion on this? Or questions? Go ahead, Director Taylor.
Yeah, and sorry if I've missed this, and generally supportive. 2 questions. Are we looking for a 5 or a 10-year term? And have we already obtained independent legal advice?
The RDOS had a meeting with PIB yesterday, and it was instructed that a 5-year agreement is in our benefit, as a 10-year agreement is actually going to require a vote from a PIB council. So a 5-year agreement is in our best interest, and I have not sought legal advice currently.
Okay. Director Getton, or did you have a follow-up on that, Director Taylor?
Is there a plan to get legal advice on, like, it looks like a pretty complicated situation, or am I missing
Suspect
something?
if there's a contract, it probably would be run by a lawyer, but that would be the extent of it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Director Gettins.
Yeah, thanks to the chair. Is there a cost to this lease?
Yeah, so RDOS pays an annual fee over to CBC and media. However, with us moving over to PIB, it's required that we have to pay Penticton Indian Band and CBC. In this application, it does require an archaeological assessment and an environmental assessment as well for the application and permit. So that is a cost that we will bear.
And just a thought, so we're, just to be clear, we're paying CBC and PIB to lease the land?
Yes, the PIB will be a part of this over new agreement, but currently we pay over CBC. And then CBC pays Bell Media that owns the site, and then Bell Media pays Penticton Indian Band. So there's an issue currently over with the facility and PIB. That's why we have to go through this process.
Okay.
And we have to get a lands permit.
Okay, I'm in support of this, of course, but I just want to, so are we now paying 2 leaseholders?
Yes, after we fill out the application, that we're going to move towards a 5-year agreement, and then hopes over to find a new location at that site that's on the Crown land.
Okay, and I'm assuming there's no financial implications with numbers because that's still considered confidential at this point?
It's still unknown at this time. An archaeological assessment is required, an environmental assessment is required. I don't have any quotes at this moment. So at that point, I will be coming back most likely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions on this? Not seeing any hands. This is a corporate vote. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Over to F, Finance, Naramata Parks and Recreation. This is the one, CAO.
I'll get it right this time. So this is a reallocation of capital funds, which is required because the board accepted the budget in one way, and this is now requesting a change. And the recommended motion is that bylaw number 3053.03, 2024, being a bylaw to amend the regional district of Okanagan-Similkameen 2024-2028 5-year financial plan to reallocate capital funds between projects for the Naramata Parks and Recreation, be given a first, second, and third reading to be adopted, and your CFO is here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, I'll go to Director Federico too.
I'd like to move the administrative recommendation.
Okay, moved, seconded, it's on the floor. Any questions or discussion on this? Somebody's phone should probably go to buzz, who's ever. Seeing no hands, I'll call the question on this. It's corporate vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Down to G, Legislative Services, Schedule of Meetings, CAO.
Thank you. This is to establish the 2025 meeting schedule in accordance with the procedures bylaw. And the motion is that the 2025 Regional District of Okanagan-Smisquemean Board schedule of meetings as provided in Schedule A of the November 7th, 2024 report from the corporate officer be approved.
Direction on this. We've got the three choices there. They're recommending A. Go ahead, Director Johansson.
I guess I'm not going to pick one in particular, but I'm a little concerned about the February only having one meeting, just particularly about the hospital district. Sometimes we have that deadline to meet and things can get a little complicated with the hospital budget, and having only one meeting in February, I think could be a little challenging. It's not for sure, but I think it could be a little challenging. And I just wonder how many people are planning on going to the LGLA. And why we couldn't just have alternates attend just like we do with FCM.
Okay. Director Gettins?
Thanks to the chair. I think too, February with the March 30th deadline of budget for the RDOS too is a tricky month to have only one meeting as well. So maybe we can do an alternate weeks like the 2nd and 4th or something like that of February. But I agree, it can be an easy time, but it could be also a pretty intense time as well.
That always depends on how controversial that budget gets. Director Coyne?
Yeah, so this year we did a lot where we only had the one meeting a month, and I felt like we were trying to jam a lot of stuff into our agendas, dragging them on for like 8 hours or more. I think we should go back to 2 meetings a month. So we're not trying to jam so much into such a short period of time. I mean, you hear it all the time, people are tired and we don't feel like we're giving our best. So I would like to go back to 2 meetings a month.
That is one of the options. If someone's prepared to make a motion one way or the other, we'll see where it goes. Director Monteith?
Through the chair, 2 meetings a month, absolutely. I think we need to go back to that. So, motion.
For option 3, is that just to be sure we're getting the right one? Ms. Malden, is it the third?
That's correct, yes.
So moving for the 2 meetings a month, which is option 3, and it's seconded, it's on the floor. Discussion. Go ahead, Director Wiebe, I'll start with, and then.
Well, I think back to Director Johansson's point, that would have only one in February. If I'm reading, and that I have the correct schedule, do I? The Schedule C, meetings 1 and 3, Thursday of the month, but February is still indicated as only February 13th.
Okay.
That was my
Same
comment.
comment from Director Johansson. So is there an option there, Ms. Malden?
So the motion on the floor right now is to go with Schedule C, and it could be amended to put 2 meetings in February. But again, the LGLA seems to be an issue each year with the board as to how many people are actually attending or not attending, and often we find there's one. So that is something the board may want to think about, whether they want to adjust the meetings accordingly or just do the 1st and 3rd like every other month.
Okay, so there's our options. Direction on it? Go ahead, Director Coyne.
I think we should go to 1st and 3rd.
First
And
and
if
third?
anybody wants to go to LGLA or FCM, we send an alternate that week.
Okay, so you're moving that as an amendment, that we go to the 1st and 3rd Thursday of February as well. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded, it's on the floor. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing, okay, Director Federico?
Or are we just voting on the amendment?
On the amendment right now? Okay. Seeing no hands, I'll call the question on the amendment, which is just the 1st and 3rd meeting in February. Just so I make sure I get that right. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. So to the main motion. Director Federico, did you want to comment?
I was just going to comment that on here is highlighted that May is a different pattern, so just that mindful that that month is different.
It's still 2 meetings in May. It's just a different, because of the SILGA, is that change? I think we need to accommodate that. Any discussion on it further on the amended motion? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? Motion carries. Down to G2, signing authorities, CAO.
Thank you. This is in regards to the Regional District Signing Authority, with the recommendation being that the Board of Directors appoint the Board Chair and the Vice Chair as signing officers for the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen for 2025 year.
Okay, someone prepared to move that? Moved, seconded. Any discussion on it? Seeing no hands, call the question. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Vintage Views Lakeshore Waterworks, G3, CAO.
Thank you. You're going to hear a long speech from me, so here goes. Starts with this. The purpose of this is to establish Vintage Views wastewater system and lakeshore waterworks system as a service for the regional district, and to authorize the borrowing for capital upgrades to the two utility systems. And the recommended motion is that Vintage Views Wastewater Service Establishment Bylaw 3068-2024 being a bylaw to establish the Vintage Views wastewater system as a service of the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen, and Vintage Views wastewater system loan authorization bylaw number 3069-2024 being a bylaw to authorize the borrowing of $6,962,000 for capital upgrades to Vintage Views wastewater system, be read a first, second, and third time, and be forwarded to the Inspector of Municipalities for approval. And that the Lakeshore Waterworks System Service Establishment Bylaw 3071-2024 being a bylaw to establish Lakeshore Waterworks System as a service to the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen, and the Lakeshore Waterworks System Loan Authorization Bylaw 3072-2024 being a bylaw to authorize the borrowing of $13,530,000 for capital upgrades to the Lakeshore, thank you, Lakeshore Waterworks System, be read a first, second, and third time, and be forwarded to the Inspector of Municipalities for approval. And upon approval of the Inspector, electoral assent for bylaw 3068, 3069, and 3071, as well as 3072, be obtained within the respective services areas through an assent voting referendum process in accordance with the Local Government Act, and that assent voting opportunities take place on Saturday, April 12th, 2025, and that Christy Malden be appointed as the Chief Election Officer and Jillian Cram be appointed as the Deputy Chief Election Officer for the Vintage Views Wastewater System and Lakeshore Water System assent voting opportunities, and that the assent voting question with respect to Vintage Views wastewater system be: are you in favor of the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen adopting Vintage Views Wastewater System Service Establishment Bylaw 3068-2024 to operate, maintain, and upgrade the Vintage Views Wastewater System, and Vintage Views Wastewater System Loan Authorization Number 3069-2024 to authorize the borrowing of up to $6,962,000 for capital upgrades for the Vintage Views Wastewater System, and that the assent voting question with respect to Lakeshore Wastewater System be: are you in favor of the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen adopting Lakeshore Waterworks System Establishment Bylaw 3071-2024 to operate, maintain, and upgrade the Lakeshore Waterworks System and Lakeshore Waterworks System Loan Authorization Bylaw 3072-2024 to authorize the borrowing of up to $13,530,000 for capital upgrades of the Lakeshore Water System. Staff's here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, I'll go to Director Taylor. Direction on this?
Yeah, I have a question for staff.
By all means, go ahead.
So first off, I really appreciate incorporation of a communications plan into the briefing, and hope we continue that. And as time goes on, I hope to see those fleshed out a bit more. I'd like to confirm that we have a meeting scheduled for fall of 2024, and I'd like to, it's November now. I would like to see that meeting go ahead with the broad community, and I'd like to just confirm that that's planned.
Go ahead, Ms. Malden, or staff.
So staff will be working to arrange a meeting in the next few weeks. We want to get out there prior to everybody getting busy with Christmas. So yes, indeed, we'll have a date to provide to everybody shortly.
Okay, Director Taylor?
Yeah, I'd like to move the administrative recommendations.
Okay, you're not going to read it out?
No, I think I've taken enough of your time.
All right, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion on this? Director Conans, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, of course, this needs to happen. But I also want to say that I'm not sure the questions are as clear as they could be and in plain speak for people who might not understand the system. And I understand we're going to be going out with a lot of messaging, a lot of meetings, but if you look at it, like if we get out of our bubble here where we understand this a lot better than most people, when you look at the questions, it says that the regional district is going to be borrowing, but it doesn't say anywhere in the question that this will be paid for by user fees. This will be paid for by people specifically in that area. If I wasn't following this at all, I would think, oh, good, the regional district's borrowing this money. We're all going to pay for it. And of course, that's not true. And I understand that we're doing, there's messaging, but I wondered if, and I'm just throwing this out there, if we could look at maybe, or if the question maybe could be more specific. So people who aren't following this, because let's face it, 80%, 60% of the people, I don't even know what the number is, aren't following this necessarily. They're hoping we're all, that the representative is handling this, that we're handling this, and people are busy with their jobs or families, and they might not understand that borrowing of this much money is going to be specifically the specific responsibility of that user group. So I don't know, maybe the CAO has some feedback on that.
Okay, Ms. Mulden or CAO?
Thanks very much. So that is always the issue, is the question, and does it answer everything that we need? So the province approves these questions, and in fact, for the most part, they recommend the formulation of those. So not every single thing can be answered in the question, and that's why the process leading up to that is so important. So this is what the province has recommended that fulfills the requirements. So there's not a lot of details on who's going to be paying and, that it's going to come from user fees. Those sorts of things may tie the hands going forward of, if we choose to do some user fees and also some taxation and that sort of thing, that all comes out in the process of communications and engagement. So yes, the question is always a controversial one. It never seems to fulfill all of the requirements of everybody, but this is why the province standardizes it like that.
Okay, no follow-up on that? Any other discussion? Go ahead, Director Holmes.
Yeah, having gone through a referendum in Summerland recently and having a same convoluted kind of question on our ballot, people just want to know how much is it going to cost me, and as long as we can provide them that information, I think they know what they're voting for.
Okay, good points. Any further discussion? Seeing none, again, this is a corporate vote. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Down to G4, Osoyoos Irrigation District, inclusion of additional properties. CAO.
Thank you. Purpose of this report is to obtain RDOS support for the inclusion of 2 parcels into the Osoyoos Irrigation District, and the recommended motion is that the Regional District of Okanagan-Similkameen support the extension and has no concerns regarding the inclusion of the following parcels into the Osoyoos Irrigation boundaries, and that is 2257 82nd Avenue, Osoyoos, Lot 1, that's better, Lot 1, District Lot 223, and 2351 82nd Avenue, Osoyoos, Lot 2, District Lot 223, Plan EEP 95629.
Okay, could I ask someone to move that? Moved, seconder. Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing no hands, call the question on a corporate vote. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to a potential closed session. And the recommendation is that in accordance with section 91C and E of the Community Charter, the board close the meeting to the public on the basis of labor relations and other employee relations, and that the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements, if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality. So is there someone prepared to make a motion to go in camera? Moved, seconded, thank you. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? Motion carries. So we'll give Adam a moment to put us in camera and okay. So we're back and open. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Moved, seconded. Thank you. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? Motion carries. So I'm going to turn it straight over to the CAO for the next meeting.
Thank you, and I'd like to call this meeting to order. It is now, after I take my glasses off, 10:33. The first part of the agenda is election of the chair and vice chair, and I'd like to transfer this over to the deputy CAO.
Thanks, CAO. So we'll do much the same as we did this morning with the board election. We will call for any nominations for chair, and then we'll move on to vice chair as well. We will do the system that we were trying this morning, the same one, and you'll find that there's 2 more event codes there, one for chair and one for vice chair. So that's number 3 and number 4. So I guess I'll open the floor now to nominations.
Nominate Director Johansson for chair.
And do we have a seconder for that? Thank you. All right, and Director Johansson, do you accept that nomination?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. All right, any further nominations for Chair of the Regional Hospital District? I'll call a second time. Any further nominations for the Chair of the Regional Hospital District? And I'll call a final time. Any further nominations for Chair of the Regional Hospital District? Seeing none, we have only one candidate, and therefore it would be acclamation for Director Johansson. Congratulations.
What's that? You want a speech anyways?
An acceptance speech.
Well, I would just thank the board. I think we've got some way to go with the hospital district. I think we're kind of at a watershed moment, and really the discussion that's going to continue to happen and is getting louder is about the 40% funding formula. And that for sure is, we kind of led the way last year with 30%. I know that Thompson Nicola gave 37%. There's been discussions with Interior Health and the ministry, and I know this year, looking at the capital plan, Interior Health is building in the possibility of not getting 40% and making allowances, and wanting to circle back and let us know what the impact of whatever we decide to fund is. So we are getting there, and the win isn't us paying less. The win is still getting the capital program and the Ministry of Health paying the balance that we are unable to fund. So looking forward to working more with the new government this year and looking at the capital plan. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair Johansson. So we will open the floor for nominations for Vice Chair of the Regional Hospital District at this time. Director Coyne?
I'd like to nominate Director Roberts. I believe he put a letter in.
Okay. Just writing this down. So I did receive written confirmation from Director Roberts that indeed he wished to let his name stand, so I'll put that in the record as well. And I'll call for any further nominations for Vice Chair of the Regional Hospital District. I'll call a second time for any further nominations for the Regional Hospital District Vice Chair. And I'll call a third time. Seeing no further, that is an acclamation for Director Roberts for Vice Chair of the Regional Hospital District. Congratulations.
And I'd like, Chair, if you'd like to take over the rest of the meeting, please.
Sure, thank you, CAO. So first item is the adoption of the agenda. Look for motion for that. Moved, second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. We've got some minutes that need to be adopted, that the May 23rd, 2024 minutes of the Okanagan-Similkameen Regional Hospital District be adopted. Moved, second. Any further discussion on those minutes? Not seeing any, I'll call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Next item is the schedule of meetings for the Okanagan-Similkameen Regional Hospital District. We have a motion there, but it indicates Schedule A. Just going to our corporate officer, how we would amend that to match the schedule that was adopted by the regional district earlier this morning.
So we would have a motion much the same as was passed this morning. If the desire is to go with the third meeting in every month, or the first for hospital district?
Just the third meeting for hospital district.
Yeah. Third. So somebody could put on the floor the motion that the regional hospital district follow the schedule for the third meeting, or the third week. The second meeting. Now I'm lost.
I'll make the motion as to the corporate officers.
That would be the second meeting in every month, consistent with the board of directors.
Moved and second. Any further discussion on that? Seems to make a lot of sense. It matches what we normally do. I will call the question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Next item is the Okanagan-Similkameen Regional Hospital District Signing Authority. Recommendation that the Okanagan-Similkameen Regional Hospital District of Directors appoint the OSR HD Chair and Vice Chair as signing officers for the Okanagan-Similkameen Regional Hospital District for the 2025 year. Moved. Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. We have a small closed session to get through. Recommendation that in accordance with Section 91J, K, and M, and 2B of the Community Charter, the board close the meeting to the public on the basis of information that is prohibited, or information that, if were presented in a document, would be prohibited from disclosure under Section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of a municipal service that are at the preliminary stages, and that, in the view of the council, could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public. A matter that under another enactment is such that public may be excluded from the meeting, and the consideration of information received and held in confidence related to negotiations between the municipality and the provincial government, or the federal government, or both, or between a provincial party or the federal government, or both, and a third party. Moved. Seconded. All in favor? Motion is carried. So we need just a couple minutes to get.
Okay, thanks, Adam. We're back online here. Moving on, we've got the next item is our Community Services Committee. Director Monteith, do you want to chair this one?
Yep, thank you.
By all means, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I'll call for the meeting to come to order. Looking for a motion for the agenda. All in favor? Thank you. Item B, delegate to the CAO.
Thank you. We do have a delegation here for the Oliver and District Recreation. And please, oh, come on, Carol, come on up, please. Thank you, delegation. And I'm assuming you have a PowerPoint?
The link was sent to Megan Turnoff.
Oh, microphone.
Yeah, so the presenter will be Megan Turnock of Lees and Associates. She was sent a link this morning. Yeah, so she should be, she's here. Okay.
Morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, please.
Hi, thanks for having me. For those of you who haven't met, I'm Megan Turnock. I'm a principal at Lees and Associates and the leader of the consulting team that led the recreation plan. We worked closely with all of our district recreation staff and the Recreational Advisory Committee. And I'm here to present the final recreation plan. I'll give an overview of the plan, including the process, a little bit about what we heard in engagement, and then cover the vision, principles, goals, and key recommendations. We presented to the Town of Oliver Council at the end of August, and it's been endorsed by the town. And as the RDOS is a key partner in providing recreation in Oliver and the surrounding area, it's important to also have your endorsement. I'll be sharing a slide presentation. Let me see if I can pull that up here. Can everybody see that now?
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you so much. So the project kicked off back in October of 2023, including a background review and inventory of the existing facilities and programs. We had 2 rounds of community engagement and did a draft and a final recreation plan. We had a really great participation from the community, and that input was really was the foundation of this plan. So I'll present some engagement highlights on the next slide, but you can see how that we had really great participation in online surveys, a student survey, user group workshops, public open houses, and staff interviews, as well as an online presentation of the draft. A few highlights from the engagement. We heard that the community loves walking, hiking, swimming, and attending community events. We heard a lot of positive feedback about the quality and the variety of recreation facilities and programs, and the great work that all of our district recreation staff are doing. We did hear requests for an indoor pool and a need for flexible recreation programs throughout the year. Recreation groups also spoke about the challenge of promoting their programs and securing instructors and volunteers. And then just to touch on, when asked about the future of recreation, the community really wants to see continued collaboration with the Osoyoos Indian Band, inclusive recreation options year-round, and investment in new and expanded recreation facilities. In round 2 of engagement, we brought the draft back to the community, and there were very high levels of agreement with the principles, vision, and goals. When we asked the community what they would like to see in the future, we heard again about the need for indoor aquatics, more winter and family recreation options. Recreation options for all ages were really important, inclusive programming, and safe facilities that support competitions and tournaments, which aligns well with some of the goals proposed in the recreation plan. We tried to narrow down what were the highest priority items for recreation. So the top 3 responses were more outdoor programs, more food-related programs, and arts and culture. This reflects the changing landscape of recreation services and with continued focus on sport, but expanding to more leisure activities like arts and culture. In terms of facility upgrades, adding shade at the Oliver District Pool was important, expanding weight and fitness room at the community hall, and expanding the community kitchen. And then in terms of parks and trails, high priorities were adding shade structures, adding more lighting, clearing paths of snow, and making sure the parks are accessible. Interesting, close to half of respondents to these surveys were in support of raising program fees or raising rental rates at facilities, and close to a third were supportive of raising taxes to help fund improvements to existing recreation. A little bit of about what's working well As we moved through the process, it really became clear that Oliver and District Recreation is really well trusted by the community, and there's a really strong base to build from. There are strong partnerships with the school district, OIB, and many community organizations. Oliver's dedicated volunteers allow Oliver and District Recreation to continue to host excellent events and offer a wide range of recreation programs. In terms of facilities, there's an excellent range of and quality of centrally located facilities, considering the size of Oliver and the area. And in terms of affordability, Oliver and District Recreation really works hard to provide affordable options for recreation. A few key challenges and opportunities were also identified. So in terms of facilities, Oliver's recreation facilities are aging and are in need of continued maintenance and upgrades. But this also might provide opportunities to adapt these spaces to meet evolving needs of the community, such as accessibility upgrades or energy efficiency upgrades. Staff is operating at or beyond their capacity, and there's been some challenges in recruiting program instructors and volunteers. In terms of funding, the Oliver District does have a limited tax base, and so it's always crucial to pursue diverse funding methods, and there's a lot of funding of recreation through grants and partnerships and community fundraising. Climate change continues to be a challenge for everyone, but recreation facilities and parks are really important community assets that can help improve emergency preparedness and boost the community's climate resilience, but there may be also impacts to parks as the climate changes. In terms of outdoor recreation, given Oliver's favorable location near many outdoor recreation areas like Mount Baldy, there's more potential for outdoor recreation activities such as hiking, skiing, snowshoeing, and mountain biking enabled through Oliver and District Recreation. So that brings us to the vision and principles, pulling together the two phases of the project. The purpose here is to provide a touchstone for the next 10 years, so to guide decision-making and establish that common goal to work towards together. The vision we've created is that Oliver and District Recreation works collaboratively to provide a variety of high-quality, accessible recreation opportunities that support community health and well-being, foster a sense of belonging, and are economically and ecologically sustainable. So Oliver and District Recreation will provide excellence in service and will work to provide recreation through partnerships, foster connections through recreation, and will provide inclusive, accessible, and four-season recreation. Thank you for accommodating. So throughout the process, 12 goals emerged to support Oliver and District Recreation in achieving this vision. Each goal is then supported by specific recommendations that will be accomplished over the next 10 to 20 years. And I'll go into more detail regarding the goals in subsequent slides. Also, just a note in terms of implementation, an endorsement from the town council or the RDOS board signifies the preliminary agreement, but is not a commitment to spend. So if this plan is adopted and endorsed, the next step would be to operational tasks will be incorporated into Oliver and District Recreation staff work plans, and capital projects will continue to be assessed and integrated into capital budget planning, subject to council and board approval, and based on the available resources and priorities. So we have laid out priorities now, but those sometimes change and there can be opportunities. And so this plan is a framework, but should continue to be flexible in its implementation. So a little bit about, I'll go into the goals and recommendations here. The recommendations under Goal 1, build internal capacity, are aimed at ensuring that Oliver and District Recreation's staff can continue to deliver recreation services sustainably. And the recommendations are really to invest in staff training, to hire a dedicated facilities manager, given the age and the need to maintain those facilities, and to offer training to local residents to increase the supply of lifeguards, recreation instructors, coaches, and referees. And these are short-term priorities. For goal 2, these recommendations focus on strengthening recreation and community partnerships that we recognize are so important in delivering recreation in Oliver. Continued coordination between Oliver and District Recreation, Town of Oliver, Osoyoos Indian Band, and the RDOS is a high priority, especially in the short term. And as well, working with Town of Oliver Public Works and Development Services to ensure that future parks amenities and recreation amenities and parks align with what's going on in terms of recreation services overall. For goal 3, retain and enhance volunteerism. This is a high priority because of the importance of retaining and enhancing volunteers. It's something we heard that was very important to the community as well. These recommendations do require staff time and coordination with community groups, and recommendations specifically include supporting and recognizing volunteer groups, making sure volunteer opportunities are well known in the community, and making sure that those organizations, programs, and services are promoted to the community to encourage participation. Goal 4, take an inclusive and welcoming approach to recreation, is about how important it is to include the diverse population in Oliver and the region. We received input and have incorporated feedback from the Osoyoos Indian Band on these recommendations. And these actions are expected to require, low resources and really to focus on encouraging partnership with the OIB, the Oliver Age Accessibility and Age Friendly Committee, and others. Goal 5 is about balancing affordability and cost recovery. So in terms of some practical recommendations, developing a fees and charges bylaw and a facility allocation policy has been deemed a high priority in the next 5 years, just to ensure the financial sustainability of recreation programs and services. Additionally, we're recommending reviewing current practices to make sure that subsidies are still provided to enable those who need help accessing recreation to participate still. Goal 6 is to take an age-friendly approach to recreation. So Oliver District has a large population of seniors, and encouraging participation and looking at opportunities to partner to expand that programming and accessibility for seniors is a high priority. These initiatives do require staff time, but perhaps a low financial investment. And we've also highlighted the need to continue to engage youth and encourage youth participation in recreation. That's included in age-friendly. Goal 7 is providing flexible recreation programming and really focusing on that year-round opportunity. So we did hear that people are challenged to participate because of the timing of programs and activities. So expanding evening and weekend activities and trying to provide more drop-in programs is an opportunity. Focusing specifically on expanding programming and promotion in the winter months is important. And another opportunity potentially is to explore virtual recreation programs. Staff capacity, facility availability, and budget constraints are challenging when potentially trying to meet this goal. But we did hear, we also heard about the importance of outdoor recreation in the second round of engagement in particular. And we have a recommendation to use underutilized outdoor spaces and to get people out into the regional district areas as well. So goal 8, expand arts and culture programming. This was a gap identified by the community, and these recommendations include collaborating with the OIB to promote intercultural sharing, Following the upgrades of the Oliver and District Community Hall kitchen, which is underway, there are opportunities to expand food-related programming, and that's also in line with the Food Action Plan. There's also opportunities to partner with the Venables Theatre and Oliver Community Arts on more arts and culture programming. So goal 9 is all about the facilities, really. As the arena, hall, and pool are aging and need improvements in accessibility and adaptation to changing recreation needs, we have a number of recommendations over the next 5 to 10 years. Upgrades can be phased with the low-hanging fruit, such as conducting technical reviews of the pool and adding shade on the pool deck. Might be some things in the short term. And I know Carol and her team are in progress on many upgrades with the arena and continuing to find ways to work with the existing facilities to maximize their lifespan. Goal 10 is considering strategically expanding recreation facilities to meet changing needs. So considering the population and the quality of Oliver and District's existing facilities, the plan really focuses mostly on maintaining and upgrading existing facilities, but it should continue to look at the possibility of adding facilities and parks as the need and opportunity arises over the next 10 years. There may be some good opportunities in the future. Goal 11, enhance the user experience at parks and trails. So this is really to encourage an integrated parks plan in the next 5 years that provides some system-wide recommendations for all the parks and green spaces to ensure that, it's really important to ensure access to free recreation opportunities. Parks are some of the easiest to access for everybody in the community. Accessibility improvements and climate resiliency are top of mind as well when upgrading existing parks and trails. Goal 12 is support active transportation and a connected community. This aims to ensure people can get to the recreation facilities and amenities and ensuring pathways are accessible and safe throughout the year. So contributing to year-round opportunities by making sure there's lighting and benches along high-use trails, for example, and having distance markers to help people better understand potentially fitness goals. That's the conclusion of the presentation, and I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity and happy to hear questions or comments on the plan. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Director Johansson?
Yeah, I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Carol Sheridan and her team for the vision and the hard work and working with Lees and Associates putting this document together. Definitely a great plan moving forward, a living document, and I can't speak enough about the value that the Oliver and District Recreation provide to the town of Oliver and Area C and anyone who comes to visit us. It definitely attracts a lot of tourism. So well done and thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a question for staff. So I heard a couple times a suggestion of a recommendation. Is that something the board should be doing as a motion? What is the thoughts?
What would your motion be?
Do we need to have a motion to receive it, to recommend it, to adopt it? Like, what's the proper process?
You don't need a motion to receive it.
Sorry, I guess my question to follow up is...
You're free to make one, though, to receive it if it gives you comfort in weight behind the report. You're free to make a motion to receive, but it's, you have received it.
Okay. Thank you. I see Director Knodel.
I just want to raise a point on the river channel. We've been waiting for 5 years now for a license of occupation along that, and we seem to be stalled. And I think now is probably a good time to get a little more push on the ministry. They seem to have relegated this to the bottom of the pile as not important, and it's becoming very important. And I see CFO or CAO is waving his hand there, so I'll pass that to him.
CAO.
Oh, sorry, we didn't have the wrong person. I'll get better. So what I understand is they're looking at the board to endorse it. What caught my ear is that they weren't asking any funds right now. So that's a positive. So all you're looking at is to endorse it, and eventually, as I'm assuming, as the projects are recommended, you come and ask for the money at that time. And correct?
Yes, thank you, CAO, to the board. We are looking for the RDOS's endorsement of the plan. Those recommendations that you see and hear, these actions, these will be worked into an operational work plan that our staff will follow. Anything financial would have to be a part of the budget process, the capital finance planning process, or the operational finance planning process. So at this time, we're not asking for any commitment of funds from the RDOS at all. What we're looking for is the endorsement of the 10-year plan itself so that we can start implementing it.
Director Kanoto?
And like Director Johansson, Mayor Johansson, I can't speak highly enough for this program. It's been extremely successful in our area, and well handled, well maintained, and well done. So my hat is off to the Parks and Recs people. They've done an amazing job. It's now to move forward in an economic manner in this crisis time here. Thank you.
Director Johansson?
I'll make a motion that the RDOS board endorse the plan.
Thank you. I have it second. Thank you. Any discussion? Director Bush?
I was just wondering if there, in the 10-year plan, was there any plan for an indoor pool?
I suspect we'll hear more about that as it moves forward. Any other conversations, discussion? Thank you. Okay, I guess we'll call for a vote. All in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Thank you. All right, so seeing no further business, I would like to end this meeting and pass it to the chair. Thank you.
Thanks, Director Monteith. I believe that does it for the day. And other than, I believe there's photographs that we're supposed to take. Is that at 11:30? And where? Can we? Okay, so before you escape completely, make sure you get your picture taken in the Gord Davidson room, please. I believe the plan is, according to what the email said, it was individuals, and they're going to Photoshop a group picture together. So I have no idea how that's done. It's beyond me.
Thank you so much.